An NDP MP says she doesn't plan to cross the floor to the Liberals, at least not right now. Nunavut's Lori Idlout spoke to our CBC North colleagues, saying she has been asked to consider crossing the floor by both Liberal Party members and her own constituents.
I've definitely been asked to consider it more than usual. I have decided at this point that I can't. It's definitely weighed heavily on me, and I've had so many conversations with people.
Now, if Lori Idlout did end up crossing the floor, it would bring the government to a majority, as the Liberals currently sit at 171 seats in the House of Commons. But we know there will be by-elections coming up. Just this hour, Liberal MP Chrystia Freeland announced she will be resigning her seat this Friday. This after she took a new job working for Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. Freeland posted a statement on social media just now. On Monday, I announced my intention to leave the House of Commons in the coming weeks. Today, I've written to the Speaker to confirm that I will vacate my seat effective this Friday, January 9th. One of the roles I will be taking on is as an unpaid advisor on economic issues to the President of Ukraine. This is a volunteer position, and I have consulted throughout with the Ethics Commissioner and followed his advice. Going forward, I will continue to support and help build Canada in every way I can while championing the brave fight of the people of Ukraine, a cause I have been committed to my entire life. Okay, so Jordan, all of this, a little bit more on Lori Idlout. Had agreed to do an interview with the show today. 2 to 3 minutes before we were supposed to record it, she canceled, said she would be issuing a statement, which I've received on my phone, where she says she's staying with the NDP. She was really close to going. We talked a little bit about this before the Christmas break, and I was even told there was a meeting scheduled where it would very likely happen with the Prime Minister. What do you make of all of this drama that's unfolded here?
Yeah, well, I'm certainly not surprised that she's being assertively approached by Liberals. That it makes a lot of sense. The Liberals have every incentive to try to bring over any and every MP from any party who might be open to that. And I think, you know, it bears observing as well that politics in Nunavut tends to be a little bit different, a little bit less partisan generally.
Absolutely.
Than politics in the rest of Canada, which I think is an important factor to consider here. But I'm not too surprised at the end of the day about her decision to stay with the NDP, because if you look at, so Lori's a 2-term MP, so this is her 2nd term here. And if you look at what she has been really focused on in her time in Ottawa, it is often really standing up to the government and being quite critical of the government in terms of resources for Nunavut, or in terms, in particular, recently with the new major projects legislation in terms of Indigenous rights. And so it is very difficult if you're part of the government to be a strong and critical advocate on those issues if you're in it. So I think that more than likely for her, that was probably a pretty major factor in her decision.
Okay. I don't give everyone a chance to weigh in on Idlout, but also on Chrystia Freeland. Amanda, I'll start with you. This is Chrystia Freeland's 4th resignation since December 16th of 2024. She's quit as Finance Minister, Transport Minister, the Ukraine envoy to Mark Carney, and on Friday it will be MP for University Rosedale. What are your thoughts on that and the Lori Idlout revelations?
Well, I mean, it's a certainly long resignation. I think obviously she was forced to make this statement today based on some of the criticism that she was receiving from the Conservative Party, which I thought was, you know, political at best. This was, Chrystia Freeland had said on a number of occasions, she had consulted with the Ethics Commissioner. You look at the Conflict of Interest Act and the rules, and they're pretty clear. And I think this becomes such a challenge, right? Because you can do everything that you're supposed to do. You can follow the rules, you can consult with the commissioner, and at the same time, you can come under a flood of attack, because optically, it was a challenging position to be in. So you could understand how that really presented an opening for the Conservative Party, and they leapt on it. And then it became obviously too challenging for her to stay in that seat. You know, as far as Lori goes, I think this is a bit of a non-story to me. I think, you know, she was potentially asked by her constituents and the Liberal Party to leave. Okay. I mean, I think a number of MPs are probably in that position. And I think Jordan's probably right. She made the consideration. There are 2 things that she had in front of her. One, can I exact more change by being inside or being outside? Particularly challenging when you're part of a party that doesn't have official status. So you don't have the same kind of oppositional chops that you would have once had. So maybe she's making the determination that she could have gone in the inside and made more change that way.
Right.
Ultimately, we know what her decision was, but you can understand why she would make that consideration.
Well, Cheryl, just to add to it, I was given the name of a cabinet minister who I was told reach out to Lori Idlout directly, and the cabinet minister declined comment today. When I reached out to them, Lori Idlout would not answer the question when I put it to her directly, and I was told there's a meeting set up for the morning of December 18th for when this was all supposed to happen. And again, no explanation on that from Lori Idlout. So it seemed like it was advanced to some degree, and with the Freeland issue, it was more than just the Conservatives. I mean, the Democrats are on this. The Globe and Mail had a pretty scathing editorial today, and here we are. She's taken the advice of everybody other than the exit commissioner and is going.
Yeah, and to start with, on the side of Chrystia Freeland, you know, as you said, I do think this was bigger than just the Conservatives making hay. I do think there were plenty of, you know, rational people looking at this from the outside going, that's a tough choice or an odd choice to make, given everything that we've seen. Yes, it might have been by the letter of the law, but when it comes to something like this, it kind of seemed like it fell short of the spirit. And for somebody who has been so adept at, you know, kind of knowing when to go, it seemed a little strange that...
Adept at knowing when to go is a great phrase. But if it wasn't Ukraine, and if it wasn't Zelensky, it never would have flown. If she was advising Donald Trump on critical minerals, right, you'd never be allowed to do this sort of thing. It has to be agnostic of whichever country it is. You're a Canadian member of Parliament.
Exactly, and it doesn't matter if it's paid or not. It's the fact that you're exactly that, advising a foreign government. And at the time that she was also the special envoy, it was kind of, as you know, someone in my newsroom put it, you know, you're the selling and the buying agent when you're purchasing some real estate. So it did kind of seem a little slippery there. So it is interesting to see that she has, you know, heeded the calls coming from many corners and said, okay, I will step back. On Lori Idlout, of course. Yes, it is interesting. She, you know, during the Liberals' supply and confidence agreement with the NDP, she was one of the people who had almost like a special dispensation to step outside of that agreement, speak out against the government on things like the budget. You know, she has been very vocal and very critical of the government. So it would be a decision that would be tough for her to make, to now say, after all is said and done, I'm going to join up with this government because I feel like it can, you know, foster more change. But I did find the framing of that interesting. It's not that she won't leave, it's that she can't, which I thought was pretty instructive.
Yes, it was the at this point.
At this
line.
point.
Yeah, and that was what had everyone kind of freaking out. It's a little bit more definitive what is being said now, Tim, but who knows, right? I mean, Lori Idlout's not going to be Liberal MP 172, would have been 171 now that we know Chrystia Freeland is going, presumably Matt Genereux, and who knows who else. I mean, Bill Blair, Jonathan Wilkinson. What do you make of all the things?
Well, on Lori, yeah, so much to get
a
into.
lot.
On Lori Idlout there, I think the interesting thing to Jordan nailed it, where she comes from, she has a bit more latitude to act.
Absolutely.
And I think that shouldn't be discounted here as it relates to her comment at this time. Perhaps she does change her mind and she will not necessarily suffer negative political consequences in Nunavut because she may make a different choice. I mean, the Freeland one is interesting to me. I mean, listening to her note, it's like, yeah, I screwed up, but I've done a lot of important things and I'm going to keep doing them, and God bless her, I'm sure she will make an important difference in Ukraine and as a trust and running the Rhodes Scholarship. But this is where the Prime Minister still makes some rookie mistakes. You could have easily had Chrystia Freeland step down, as they are now bound to do, call a by-election. Call it quickly. Not going to affect your seduction or purchasing or whatever the hell you're trying to do with MPs coming over. Have that one by-election. Donald Trump would have to invade Greenland and take over Colombia and everything else for the Liberals not to hold Toronto Rosedale, where she's from. If I were them and they do want to, they're thinking about March votes, call that by-election quickly. But it didn't help them, because the one vulnerability I would say that the Prime Minister has is the traditional Liberal vulnerability, and that is one of self-interest, hubris, and the like. So when you give Pierre Poilievre that opportunity and his party that opportunity at a time when they've not been able to put much on Mark Carney, not the greatest strategic choice for them.
But Jordan, just as a final point, like, how could... I'm trying to think how the Prime Minister could obviously advise her I think you need to quit, but he can't make her. You know what I mean? Like, she's been elected since, I think, 2013 and held all the big jobs. Like, she should know this, right?
Yeah, I would say the Prime Minister maybe could be given more of the benefit of the doubt of being a little new at this, but she certainly is not. And she is aware full well that having the technical approval of the ethics commissioner does not solve the political optics problem that her serving two governments presents. So very much she should have known better. And you can see that by her change in plans today that obviously that was realized and she's now made the correct decision. But this was unnecessary. I don't know how they thought this was going to play out because that's a very evident and easy line of attack for the opposition and one that would have been quite clear as soon as the job offer was made.
Okay, so this means with the news that Chrystia Freeland will resign on the 9th of January, there's about 2.5 days left in her time as an MP. Donald Trump still has 1,108 days left in his term as president. Hasn't even been a year.
So we got to uplift your audience.
It's just we need to brace people for what lies ahead. We are out of time. Trump's got 1,100 days. Amanda Alvaro, Cheryl Evelyn, Tim Powers, and Jordan Likeness, thank you so much.